Lawmakers unveil $1.7 trillion bill to avoid shutdown. Boost Ukraine, AP News. Congressional leaders unveiled a government-wide $1.7 trillion spending package Tuesday that includes another large round of aid to Ukraine, nearly a 10% boost in defense spending, and roughly, it says $40 billion, it's $46 billion,
I was gonna say
mostly to assist communities across the country recovering from drought, hurricane, and other natural disasters. I think we're over $120 billion right now given to Ukraine. The bill, which runs for 4,155 pages, includes $772 billion for non-defense discretionary program and $858 for defense. The spending package includes $45 billion in emergency assistance to Ukraine. It would be the biggest American infusion of assistance yet to Ukraine, above even President Biden's $37 billion emergency request, and ensure that funds flows to the war effort for months to come. Legislation also includes historic revisions to federal election law that aim any future presidents, candidates from trying to overturn. By the way, here's an interesting number to give to you guys. What a portion of the number went to. When I tell you this, I don't know how you're going to react to it. I thought I was a little bit surprised by this number. Here's what it was. $2.6 billion went to U.S. attorneys for January 6th attack prosecution.
How much?
$2.6 billion.
Billion.
Trump's net worth. Let me say that one more time. Did you hear what I said?
Billion or million?
No, billion. 2.6 billion. By the way, if you're like, let me not say this.
No, I believe
so
you.
People are thinking like, so 2.6 billion just went to lawyers, okay? Let me give you this CNN article. Just go to CNN article that says the 1.7 trillion. Just type in 1.7 trillion CNN. Go to the first article that says, here's what's in the one. There you go. So keep going lower. Just so everybody knows what the story's coming from. Go lower. Right around there, if you can zoom in a little bit.
Funding, what?
Do you see it or no?
$2.6 billion.
The bill will provide $2.6 billion for U.S. attorneys, which would include funding efforts to further support prosecutions related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol and domestic terror. $2.6 billion in legal fees.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, am I the only one that reads this and says, what the? Okay, so let's break it. Do you know how many lawyers you would have to give $2.6 million in fees for this? Let's do the math.
Hourly, okay.
What's $2.6 billion divided by?
Say 1,000. Say they find 1,000 names that they're going to prosecute.
They're going to be giving 1,000 lawyers $2.6 million.
1,000, that's it.
1,000 lawyers are going to get $2.6 million. What are we talking about?
And by the way, this is prosecution, not defense. Defense is what expensive. Prosecution, you build an indictment and you put it on the table.
Yeah. By the way, another $11.3 billion goes to the FBI. Okay.
Yeah,
another
the worst.
$39 billion goes to the Justice Department. So, I mean, and then they're doing a ban on TikTok. Couple things they had didn't make it in there, but Ukraine gets another $40-some billion. What are your thoughts on this, Adam, with this $1.7 trillion bill?
Well, I haven't gotten to all the details, but I think we can all realize that whatever the bill is, whatever the proposal is not the law. Meaning, like, they're gonna negotiate this. So whether you went to civics class in 8th grade, the House proposes this, the Senate gets to vote on it, they negotiate. This thing could be less than $1 trillion at the end of the day here. So, I mean, I'm glad that we're highlighting some of the nonsense, because there's going to be arguments, there's going to be filibusters, there's going to be all sorts of points and counterpoints, and we'll see where it ends up. It does seem egregious. However, I remember not too long ago when $1 trillion was a big deal. Now we're talking multi-trillion-dollar spending bills, and it's just the norm. So it's getting out of control.
Here's my question too: how much, after all that's said and done, how much do you think that $2.6 billion would go down? Because mind you, that's one question. Number two, the fact that they're trying to get that much for these people is it's ridiculous, bro. And for another $45 billion to Ukraine, and then Rob, what'd you say? Rob actually read all 4,155 pages. Rob, what'd you say about the salmon? Listen to this.
Yes, $65 million are going to go to restoring Pacific salmon populations, $3 million for what they call bee-friendly highways, and then an additional $5 million in further spending for salmon.
Dude, here's
and Sometimes it's not what's in a bill that they're going to spend it on. Sometimes it's what they prohibit. And what is prohibited that not one penny in this $1.7 billion bill can go
trillion
to?
dollar bill.
Trillion.
1.7 trillion. Not one penny can go toward border defense.
Not one. I read that today.
It's a clause in the bill. Not
Well,
one penny can be. It's in the bill that says none of this appropriation may be directed to border defense.
But that they are spending $410 million towards border security for other nations, including
Such as Jordan.
Lebanon, Egypt, Tanzania,
Tunisia.
and Oman.
Come on, Malik.
By the way, what? So here's a question: Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. I don't give a shit about politics. Whatever party you're a part of. What do you mean not a penny is going to be going to the border and we're having 2 million people, record-breaking amount of people coming up here, fentanyl issues that we're having? Like, how do you process that where you say $0 is going to be spent on the border, but we're spending it on other people? How do you process that?
Well, I think what's happening right now is so the new Congress comes in, early January 20th? So basically we all know we just had the midterms a month and a half ago, whatever. This happens every 2 to 4 years where before the new Congress comes in, they're going to try to get some shit passed. What's the term that they talk about? Pork spending or pork belly, where you just kind of throw in a bunch of nonsense into a bill and be like, let's get this. It's sort of like a wish list.
You're right.
And we'll
you're
see
right,
what happens
right.
here.
What do you feel about this, to Pat's question? Sorry to interrupt you. I'm not supposed to be interrupting you. But
you're doing a good
right.
job at that, though.
Thank
But,
you.
okay, your question.
Thank you. I got the World Cup of interruptions. What do you think about? Okay, that's what's happening. But what do you think about what's in that? And that to say nothing for border security.
Yeah, well, I think that's unfortunate. I think what's going on the border right now is a mess. But I mean, look, you think we're going to solve the border security right now on this podcast? It's been a fucking mess
Adam,
for 20 years.
Do you realize,
nice
but
redirect.
But hang on a second. A podcast is to give opinions.
I agree.
It's not to give regular, just a questions being asked. What do you think?
I think that, yes, we should have some money going towards border security. But ultimately, what am I saying here?
Yeah.
This is a negotiation. We're acting like this is the end-all, be-all, and this is already
they're trying
passed.
to finish this up before Christmas.
Yeah, but we'll see if that happens. I guarantee you when we're going to look back at this in a couple weeks or in a couple months and be like, yeah, that shit turned out to be none of what they proposed. It's a proposal. So in any negotiation, you start here and you end up here. So we'll see what happens here.
I'm saying this. This is my opinion. Okay. The reason that the left wants all these open borders is because, say what you want, all these people are coming in are votes. And I'm not saying the illegals can vote, but their children, their grandchildren, they're trying to destroy us and tradition. I don't care what anybody says, bro. You think that these people are so pro-immigration illegals because they love these people? Really think about that, bro. I know a bunch of liberal psychos in California. I'm like, you're so open. Come on, everybody come in. What are you doing to help them? You're not letting them come into your freaking house. Remember, Adam, you always say follow the money. Okay, follow. Why not $1 for securing the border? Why are they so open? Why do they love open borders? Those people's kids, grandkids all becomes votes, and that, trust me, when they come in, they say, hey, remember who let you in here? The right, the Republicans were like, the hell with you, you're racist, you're rapists. But now, remember, Democrat, always vote Democrat, and that's how these cats keep winning.
You're right.
Period.
And by the way, they get to vote too. You go in the state of California and you can go get an ID. And with that ID, you can then vote. And that's why they don't want voter identification. And they say, oh, that's vote suppression. Yeah, it is. In a way, it is vote suppression because you want illegals to vote. So by your definition, on the other side, their definition, it's vote suppression. But it's them voting too. You're correct. But I add to that they want the people walking across, not just their children and grandchildren, they want them voting too. It's a voting block.
Yeah.
It's a voting block for socialist control.
And didn't they in New York, Pat? Do you remember? I guess in New York they passed a law where, can you look that up, Rob, really fast, bro? That in New York illegals can vote now. I don't know for mayoral candidate or for the presidency, but New York voting law, non-citizen. I think they allowed non-citizens to vote. What happened this year?
What I will say is I don't understand the whole the ID to vote thing. That should not be a big deal. You got to have an ID to go get liquor. You got to get an ID to go to the airport. You got to go to ID to go anywhere.
But they're saying it's racist to ask for IDs in Georgia.
I don't
they're
agree
like
with
it was
that.
racist.
Yeah, I think that's
it's racist. I'm happy that you agree with that, but it's like you have to always say why are they so anti? They're helping borders overseas, but they don't give a shit about us here.
$140 billion to Ukraine, $400 million to other people's border, not one penny to us, $2.6 billion to lawyers for January 6th. That's giving 1,000 lawyers $2.61 million. It's a very weird situation where, again, the average person has to sit there and say, like, do they think the voters are dumb? Like, are these guys that are sitting there negotiating, are they really pushing the envelope? Are they all kissing each other's ass to help be reelected? I don't know. I don't know. Again, another reason why the American people don't trust these people as much as they did before. The American people don't trust mainstream media and the government as much as they did before. They can go back and negotiate and see what happens. But just the fact that you're not even putting the issue of the border there says a lot about you. FYI, this is why 2023 is going to be investigations galore all year long. All year long, it's going to be investigations, especially if McCarthy takes over.
So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan, bought one, then he bought three. Then when those three people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.